Hello. How do you pick out the correct landscape tree for your yard? Backyard, front yard, side yard, around a pool, really doesn't matter. First, you need to decide what is the tree for? How are you going to use it? Is it going to be a shade tree, screening tree, specimen tree, or accent tree? Once you decide those things, where you want it, then you can go look at your space. Where is it going to be? How much room do I have? Any overhead obstructions? Any underground obstructions? And once you get that list narrowed down, the next best thing to do then is go start doing some research. I mean, I can tell you what works good in my area, Central Oklahoma, Zone 7, but it's not universal around the country. Even being a Zone 7, sometimes where I live, we get like 30 inches of rain annually. I came from the Mid-Atlantic. It was Zone 7 with 60 inches of rain. Plant materials differ. Also, the exposure that the tree has. Let's say it's on the west side of the building or your house or wherever you're putting it, that afternoon sun's gonna beat on it. Some trees don't like it, some will do fine. Also, one of the things I have here that I never experienced on the East Coast very much is Sunscald. So when I first moved in years ago, I put a maple tree. I really like October glories. They are popular on the East Coast. You see a lot of them here. Did not work in my location. Even after the first year of wrapping, I didn't wrap it the second year and it split and ended up dying that summer. Sunscald is where the thin bark trees, that cambium layer freezes overnight in cold weather. That southern exposure heats up the bark and causes a split, just like pipes bust with expansion and thaw and contraction. So didn't make it. Ended up settling on the Chamard oak for that area. The other thing, next thing you decide, after you've done that, done a little research, kind of where the tree's gonna go, start looking at varieties. Think about how much time you want to invest in it, really. I mean, there's some really cool trees. The sycamore varieties, London Plain and the others, are gorgeous when they're growing. They leave a mess on the ground, something I don't want to deal with. Tupelo gums, black gums, some of those are really cool trees, good fall color, but leave a mess. If you don't mind that, go for it. I don't have a tremendous amount of time to spend raking up gumballs or sycamore leaves and the end of the twigs break off constantly. It's just always a mess. Sort of like a heritage river birch. Another tree. I have one. I knew it was going to be a mess. I planted it because I had 0 trees on the place. I knew it was a fast grower. 15 years ago, it's ready. I'm taking it down soon. I've got a tree to replace it. It made it about 15 years before it just starts falling apart. Every little windstorm, every little thing, there's just branches breaking off. And I knew that going in, but it provided shade. It grew fast. It went from a 2-gallon to now it's 30 feet tall in that short of time. And I knew that, so. Let's talk about screening trees. Evergreens, if you want a wind and privacy screen. I recently planted a lot here, well, a lot, 10 loblolly pines. They're more of a windscreen for me, and they're not gonna be a windscreen in years. It's gonna take them years to get there, the size I planted. And the reason I went with a small size is cost, quite simple. And also they're a little easier to take care of. They don't require as much watering. I can go out water all 10 of them with a 5-gallon bucket. You know, I can get that done once a week when I'm not getting the rain. Makes it easy to take care of. And they'll grow reasonably quick. I mean, they'll be 5 years from now, they'll be providing some type of wind block for part of the yard. You can use arborvitae. Leland cypress is another one. Lelands don't do well here that I've found. Even in commercial landscapes, I don't see a ton of them. Are loose soil in a lot of places. They're impossible to stake, and it is very windy here a lot, and they'll blow over easy. So they need a little extra care. Just giving you a few varieties each. We can go to accent trees, blue Atlas cedar, deodar cedars, the Japanese maples, You can see topiaries at your garden centers. Accent trees are more for that, they're medium sized most of the time, or small. Closer to the house, I've got a deodar I'm gonna plant. And, excuse me, I have a blue atlas on my plant. I can't use deodars here as well. I've never had as much luck with them using them in landscapes. They are a little less heat tolerant, and the humidity gets them a little bit, so they're not a great choice for this area. But on the mid-Atlantic coast, we used a ton of them, and they worked fine. It's even more humid, but it had plenty of moisture, plenty of rain. You didn't have to water them all the time, so they survived it very well. So you can look at those things too. Let's talk about knowing your little microclimates and stuff. When I talked about east-west side of the house, north side, here we can get away with some stuff that's a little more northern climate. I mean, north side of I can't grow Bermuda grass. You know, it just doesn't get enough sun in this most of the year to be able to survive. Same thing with the south side. If you're up next to a building or have some type of windbreak with it, the south side of a structure can sometimes microclimate be a full zone south of where you are, especially if it's concrete around it, things like that. A little example, you could drive around the city here and see plant material planted on the north and south, and if you pay attention and when you're looking, you'll start noticing those differences. They look stunted on the north side if it's a southern variety plant, and the south side's booming. I have 2 Texas live oaks. This is a little stretch. They say since 7 up to 6, but they don't do as well. They're thriving. The one on the north side of my house is third less than the one that has a southeast exposure. And the one with the southeast, they were both planted at the same time. Both were just very small trees. They were just whips. They're doing well now. But that difference of how much of that winter sun they get to continue to put root structure on makes a difference. The one thing, I'll make this quick, that I think you need to consider, no matter where you live, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world for that matter, any zone you live in, once you have it narrowed down that I want a shade tree, it means it's probably going to be a deciduous tree, go look at commercial landscapes, HOA entrances, street trees and HOAs, higher end shopping centers, and look at what the architects design and put in that spot. This is the biggest tip I could give you. The architects are not gonna put a tree in a design that doesn't do well in your area. Doesn't make sense. They're always gonna do that. Then you can look at those and say, I really like the look of that tree. And take a picture of it, you know what it is? You'll see it. You'll see specimen trees, you'll see screening trees, you'll see shade trees, street trees, you'll see all that. Don't look at architects or landscapes from 15 years ago. Look at something more recent than that. Things have changed and plants change. There's new cultivars out all the time. Heck, in the 80s and 90s, we were planting Bradford pears. That was a huge mistake. They're everywhere. And they were pushed really hard, and a lot of people designed them, and they just didn't work out very well. Now I think there's some stuff we were using back then that we're still using today that has proven the test of time. Like the maples, the October glories, red sunset. If you can get away with those, don't have the problem that I have, use them. I like, in my area, foolproof trees, the Chamard oak. I have 2 of them, getting ready to pot up and do some propagate from acorns, a bunch more that I'll use around here and give away and whatever, but they've done really well for me. First year watering, after that, I've got 0 supplemental watering on them, 0. And that's through our drought years, through our heavy years, heavy rain years, survived the storm, lost the first branch on one with the ice storm a few weeks ago. Really good trees, really hardy trees. Thank you. If you like this, give suggestions, please. I'd like to have other topics to discuss. being in the off season, it's tough, and I want to get this channel off the ground. I'll be doing a lot more landscape and gardening tips. A little different. I'm not going to always have the stuff to show you. So, but I will be pruning here soon. It's not time yet for us, but I'll be pruning perennials and cutting back grasses, and I'll video that stuff and kind of show you some of the ways I do it and the tips I do it, make it fast and easy, less clean up. Just kind of so you can get on and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.